morning, folks, from scenic Boulder, Colorado here. And I'm Denny Edlebrock. I'm the executive director and founder of the National Trumpet Competition. And without further ado, let me introduce 5 amazing players that have a 6th personality, and that 6th personality is art. When you hear them play, you'll say, well, how can these guys work together on that level? It's fantastic. They get to play a lot together. So I'm actually more or less a founding member. I put 35 years in this group. I know all these guys. They're fabulous. So don't hesitate to ask questions. You know, as some of you know, you get a chance to play. And let me introduce Kevin Gibo as NCO of the C, and also we have Rick Lee over here. Rick, I'll let you guys take it from here.
Awesome. I just got promoted. All right. Sorry, Rick. Good morning, everyone. We are the United States Army Brass Quintet from Pershing Zone in Washington, D.C. Before we start, again, a huge thank you to Denny for, everything he's done for NTC. I'll talk later tonight, through our concert, but a lot of my core foundation of trumpet playing in my career was rooted as being a part of NTC. So this is a really special place. And to get to then go get a job and end up in this quintet, which Denny also helped found and spent 35 years in. Like, it's for everyone collectively, but really for me, this is a really special trip and weekend to get to do all that and compete and be a young student, like just eager to learn, and now be here giving a class and performing this evening. It's kind of full circle and really, really special. So we are all beyond honored to be here. So thank you, Denny, for all that you did to get us here and all that you do for this amazing competition and organization. So we're going to talk a little bit about us. We'll go around and introduce ourselves and our background. If at any point you have questions, I don't know what else is going on or what other kind of things you've been to. We're pretty lax and chill. So if you have a question, literally just raise your hand. We're open. We want to answer all your questions. If there's something you want us to talk about, please just let us know. I'll talk about some of the general things with the Army and try and give a large summary. And then if you have specific questions, please let us know. And we'll have a couple people play and work with them. And we want to give you guys whatever best we can that you're to get out of this class. So to start, let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, I am Andrew Boylan. I play trumpet.
Where'd you go to school, Andrew?
I did my undergrad at Center College with Vizzutti Martino, and then a master's at Ohio University with John Schlabach, and doctorate at Indiana University with John Rommel.
I'm Kevin Gibo. I'm originally from South Florida. I did my undergrad at the University of Michigan with Bill Campbell. I did my master's at UCLA with Jens Lindemann, and my doctorate at Catholic University. We studied with a bunch of people back and forth. Steve Hendrickson was one of my teachers there. And I've been in the band just shy of 16 years, and I've been in the quintet. Has it been almost about a year. In the band 16, in the group about a year.
I am John Voth, the tuba player of this group, and born in Kansas. I went to the Wichita State University and master's program at University of New Mexico when they kind of had a brass quintet faculty program there a long time ago. And I've been in the Army band about almost 26 years. I've been in this brass quintet almost 20 years, maybe almost coming up on 19 years. So I'm the longest and the oldest serving member. And
That's longer than a lot of these kids have been alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm Greg Hammonds. I play trombone. Grew up in Rochester, New York, and went to Eastman there for my undergrad in trombone performance and music education. Went on to do a master's at Rice down in Houston, Texas. I've been in the Army band for 7 years and in the quintet for 5 years, so not quite as long as this guy.
I'm Rick Lee. I am a French horn player. I've been in the Army band 23 years, so a little less than you, but not much. I went to the University of Georgia, grew up in Georgia, and went to Yale for my master's degree, and then been in the band pretty much since then.
Yeah. Cool. So we are part of the Pershing Zone, which is the whole premier band in Washington, D.C. And within that, we have a ceremonial band, a concert band, the Army Blues. We have a rock band. We have strings. We have a chorus. What else am I missing? we have a lot of different ensembles. So within the brass quintet, we are our own group, but we fall under the ceremonial element. So all of us are also members of ceremonial band. And as I said, I'm about to be in 16 and the quintet for one. The last 15 years, I've been in ceremonial band doing funerals, primarily in Arlington National Cemetery and across the DC region of all the missions that we support. So it's a really meaningful, special job where we get to do some just really, really cool things to get to, don't worry, I won't get too dark and depressed about funerals, but to provide, taps at a service member's funeral is a real honor to get to do on a daily basis. It's very special for the family and something that I don't take lightly or for granted. And we still get the chance to do that. But recently, how many years ago this group became its own?
5.
5 years ago, the quintet is now its own separate entity. So we do a lot of support of, we could do anything from a cake cutting ceremony at the Pentagon to a state funeral. We did a ceremony the other night where Amy Klobuchar asked Rick to hold her drink before she went to go give a talk. And Chuck Schumer was standing in front of me and was like, hey, how y'all doing? Just the level of different things that we get to experience on a day-to-day basis are pretty spectacular. We can go by later. I know a lot of people like to know some of the favorite jobs we've gotten to do. We can go down that road at some point as well. But there are a lot of really cool experiences. Before we start mindlessly talking, are there any specific questions anyone has, whether about the Army or about what we do or about any of our career paths, or are we just all gonna stare at each other for an hour and a half? Or, that's cool. Okay, we can do that. Yay! Hi.
Hi. I know you said that you've all been in the band for a certain amount of years as well as in the quintet. So do you have, you play in the band and the quintet? How do the rehearsals balance?
It used to be that way, as he just mentioned, before the quintet became just a separate group in the thing. We have so many missions and work to do that it just got harder and harder to juggle. We've got this and this and this, but I got a concert band concert. How am I I got to conflict with the rehearsals, and one of us was in the Army Blues, some of us were in the ceremonial band, some of us were in the concert band, and it was also hard to do because, the Army band has so many people that they're allowed to have, and when you make a quintet out of air, you also have to take somebody else's spot, and nobody else wanted to do that. But there was a lot of push and pull, and we made it happen. So anytime there's, somebody comes into our operations and they want us to, we're available for that, and that's so for a number of years, maybe 13 years, I was playing in the concert band and doing this as well. But now it's homogenous group, and
Yeah.
We it's rare that, well, it's not rare, but if there is a situation where the concert band or the ceremonial band need extra people because of there's too many missions that day or too many people are on leave, then they'll pull us from what we're doing in the quintet to go do those missions. And if we have no job ourselves, it's not an issue. If there's no quintet performance that day, it's not a problem. Sometimes we have to juggle our missions and ceremonial band missions, so it's a constant back and forth of we need this many people for this kind of job.
There's literally daily text chains on what needs to be covered, where are we, where are they, and it's a constant figuring out. But everyone works really well together of making sure that, we use the word mission a lot for all of our jobs. Anything that we do is called a mission, and the mission getting completed are our number one priority. So if we have a rehearsal, but they need us for something down at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and it can't be covered with the personnel that they have, obviously our rehearsal gets the axe, and we go make sure that the mission is filled. But it's a balance. But that's what changed over the years. Is it used to be we did everything, and then they tried to fit in quintet or fit it in on top of everything. Now it's quintet, and we help as needed and when possible. So that's been the switch, which has been really massive and huge, and a really good thing for us. And to play together regularly all the time is huge with a chamber ensemble. Just getting to constantly rehearse for hours every single day, you really start playing all together. Good question, thank you.
No.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Great. Go ahead.
Good, yeah.
So I have two questions. One, is this a permanent tour? And two, are there bands at other points other than DC and I noticed some in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, there are several hundred, I believe.
What are you talking about?
Military bands, army
There's
bands across the
about
country.
70 or so
In the
Army bands that are either full-time active or reserve or guard bands. And of course, there are, band in Korea, band in Germany, and then there are each of our other branches of the military have their bands as well. All of the, premier top level bands are mostly in the DC area.
And we have
And they have one,
2, 3, 4 on the East Coast. So there's Pershing Zone, there's the Fife and Drum Corps. Raise your hands back there, everybody. That's 3 members from the Fife and Drum Corps. We're going to be throwing questions at them shortly as well. There's the Army Field Band based up in Maryland. Their primary job is touring the country, for the public. Ours is generally the Arlington, DC, White House area field band tours, and then there's the West Point Band out of the Academy. Those are the 4 for the Army alone. Each branch has premier bands. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you get transferred or is it just a permanent gig?
So with the premier bands, which is the ones that I just listed, we are what's called permanent station. So we do not move, which is very rare in any military anything that we don't move. So for John's 26 years, he's been in the Pershing Zone. Premier bands don't move. The regular band says we're 42 Sierras, special band 42 Romeo, the regular band. They do transfer on occasion. Is Sergeant Daly here? I know she's at NTC. So if you stop by the Army booth, you can talk to her. She is with the Army Band Recruiting Command, and she knows a lot of that information and is a good resource to ask for all of those. Because while we understand some of that, none of us individually were actually a part of that system. So I can answer generally, but not as specifically as. But they do move around a little bit. It's the same job. We're all active duty. We've all gone to basic training. We've all regular basic training, not band basic training.
not Full Metal Jacket.
No. We'll tell you a funny story about this one's basic training later. He didn't want to do it only once. He had such a good time. Anything to add on the bands or the amount of?
Nope.
Yeah, we don't move. We're permanent station, which is great.
It's a blessing for us.
For family and settling down in one location and not moving every 2 years, and as everyone else in the military does. So it's something we don't take for granted.
What type of music do you guys like to play?
like to or have to play. So, we're not. We have limitations on what we can play, mostly because a lot of the performances and concerts and jobs that we do are for a general audience. They're not necessarily musicians or music enthusiasts, and so we have to pick things that are digestible to muggles. So we try to pick things. We don't do a lot of standard quintet repertoire. We try to sprinkle it in somewhere. We do a lot of arrangements ourselves. If you come to our show tonight, you'll hear a lot of pieces that we've done arrangements for, and we try to pick things that tell a story, and I think what we enjoy most is that aspect of it, is telling a story, talking about what we do, maybe talking about a time in which we played a certain piece. I enjoy that much more than just a certain type of music and putting it on a program and just getting to play it over and over and over again. That's always brought me more satisfaction than the E-Walled 100 times kind of thing. Yeah.
And so the lion's share of what we do, we talk about our missions, where the reason that we're there is because the music that we play, it's not for entertainment, it's functional. So we're there because in these ceremonies of various types or whatever, it's traditional to have the anthem sung at the beginning or played, by us, and then they, speech, awards, and speech, and then we will close with the Army song. It's it's a function of the ceremony, and it's traditional. And then sometimes there's other things in there that we can play, but, so for that kind of our job, that's what we're there for. It's just kind of like a ritual.
And that's most of what we do. A couple times a year we get to do tours and things such as this, which is always a blast for us because as Greg mentioned, we can open up our repertoire a little more. You'll see tonight, like he said, a lot of pieces that we would not be playing at a Senate dinner or things like that. One, because it just doesn't fit. Two, because they would be like, they could care less anyway. More of them are, we do like we call them the PO, the marches, patriotic, God bless the USA, God bless America, some Sousa marches, and that's kind of the pre-ceremony things that they're expecting to hear in that setting. So that's kind of the meat of what we do. And then we get opportunities sometimes throughout the year to do things like this. And we were at Colorado Springs 2 nights ago, Denver last night, and here. So it's a huge treat for us also to get to not only continue to play with each other on the road, but do repertoire that we can't play normally. It just wouldn't fit. So again, we're super excited about this evening to get to play some of those pieces for y'all. You had a question, yeah?
Can you talk about the process from listing to where you are now?
Well, who likes doing push-ups?
Good.
So it's the audition for a premier band is the same as any other orchestra audition. There's a list gets posted. You show up. You do a first round. If you pass the first round, you go to the second round. Yeah, but behind a screen. And it's the same as an orchestra audition. And if you win, you've got the job in that specific military unit. It's not like you've won an Army band job and then they're going to put you in a band. That's the spot that you've won. At that point, you go to an Army recruiter and you give them this little special paper that says this is where I'm going. And then they start the process of you joining the military, which is called MEPS, the Military Entrance Processing Station. And they poke and prod you and make sure that you're healthy and can do all the things. Then you go to basic training, which is 10 weeks. And it's not fun, but you get through it. Everyone can get through it.
Almost eventually.
Eventually. Honestly, it's physically difficult, but it's more mentally challenging than anything because it's a lot of, if you mentioned Full Metal Jacket. Anyone here not seen Full Metal Jacket?
Probably half this room.
Not see? Okay, okay. If you ever join the military, watch Full Metal Jacket before you go to basic training and after you go to basic training. Because before you go, it'll terrify you, and after you go, you'll laugh so hard. So yeah, you do basic training, then you finish basic training, and you go to the unit, and that's it. You're in the band. It's a normal job. You have a few weird things that you have to do, like taking a physical fitness test twice a year, but for the most part, it's a performing job, and we get to wake up every morning and play trombone. Well, I play trombone. They do other things, but yeah, that's kind of the process.
The things that stay consistent over time are the fitness tests and the weigh-ins. We weigh in twice a year, so there is a height weight chart that you have to stay within, or else they figure it out. But there are that's that's something that we have to constantly think about and focus on because it's always was coming up, and it's not an impossible test. It's not something like absolutely crazy, but it's something that's always in the back of your mind that you always got to kind of have that in the back of your mind, which is always real easy to do when you're on tour when there's so much great food everywhere. But other than that, yeah, once you're there, you're there. You don't move. You don't go to different bands. You could technically audition for another band, but for the most part, once someone's in a premier band spot, they're not gonna move much. On that note, I just pulled it up so I didn't say the wrong dates. We have 2 trumpet openings in the, or I guess, nope, not 2, 1. I think it's 1, whatever. I don't want to speak incorrectly. There may be 2.
It was 2 yesterday.
I thought it was 2, I don't know. There's an audition coming up. My name is John Voth and there is 1 audition. There is at least one spot open. We have an audition June 26th and 27th are the 2 audition dates, and the deadline to apply is June 12th. So plenty of time from now. www.usarmyband.com. All the information, all the stuff is there. And I'm going to throw this back to our good friend, Master Sergeant Brooke Stevens, who's going to speak about some openings that they have as well.
Kind of hold it somewhere.
Yeah, this will do.
Good, perfect.
Okay. Great. So I'm Master Sergeant Brooke Stevens. I'm with the United States Army Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, which is also stationed at Fort Myer. We're at the Pershing Zone as well. Our audition is May 4th and 5th. Our first round pre-screen was technically due on March 9th. However, we are here today. We have our own room to do some pre-screen auditions if anyone is available this afternoon. There are still some time slots available. I have a flyer with a QR code. You can go to the Google form and sign up for a slot if you're interested. But just a little bit about the Fife and Drum Corps, because most people are like, well, I don't play fife, I don't play drum. Like, why are you here at NTC? We have bugles in our ensemble as well. So 2 people back here as well as myself. We're all trumpeters who play bugle, mostly for the Army. We also have a modern and historic trumpet ensemble that we have within our unit, so those are additional playing opportunities that we have within our unit. We are largely ceremonial as well, but do outreach through things like this, masterclasses as well. But we have marching shows and things like that. You should check it out. I'd tell you to go to our website, but we don't have one right now. Long story for another time. But we do have social media pages, so check out our Facebook page or Instagram. See if it's something that you might be interested in. We do a lot of marching, so that is part of what the important thing that we are looking for in addition to your playing. So that's a little bit different than maybe a lot of the other special bands, but certainly nothing that any of you hardworking people that are in this room can't overcome if you work at it. But yeah, audition May 4th and 5th. And today, if you didn't already submit a video packet to us, you can do just like a live wave of that pre-screen round if you pass that today. So thanks for letting me have it.
Thank you. Woo. And I just want to stress while you're here, you know, I think it's huge to take any and all opportunities possible. Go play for them. Like, it can't hurt. It's a premier band. It's the same pay and level and job as any premier band in the country, and they're right there willing to listen to you today for free. So seriously, go. There's literally nothing you can lose. I mean, they can do nothing but give you good feedback on your playing and what to work on, you know, for next time. So, and there are, yeah.
Just one more thing. For today, if you are interested in doing the pre-screen, we're just asking that you play something 5 to 10 minutes worth of your own music. It can be etudes, it can be solo, it can be excerpts, whatever you've been working on for this, like whatever you feel like you sound good on, that's what we are interested in hearing. So.
What a good time than when you've been preparing to play at a solo competition to play for someone. It's like you're ready to play. Very cool. So thank you so much for you guys for being here, and seriously, take that opportunity. I would be all over that if I was, you know, a student in here, and that was right there. That's actually, I did something like that years ago at NTC. I didn't realize it, but I played for Gil Hoffer, who I ended up working with later in the band. And I had that opportunity. He gave me some feedback, and I took that, and you know, down the road it obviously helped out. We're going to get to some playing in a minute. Do you have any quick questions before we hear some people do some playing? Did you point over there?
Yes.
Yeah.
What made you decide that a career in a military ensemble was the right one for you?
Good question. Andrew.
I was turned on to the military bands in my undergrad. I didn't know they existed until then, and then I found out that they were really good paying job, really stable job. You know, like we just had a global pandemic when a lot of musicians weren't working, and we were. We were still getting paid. It was awesome. And especially in this ensemble, I was hired directly into the Quintet. We play a lot of really cool music. They're amazing musicians that I get to play with every day. It's kind of my dream job because I love brass quintet, so it was a really easy decision for me.
Mine's very similar. You know, seeing the bands throughout the years, or they come through tours. As I mentioned, being a part of NTC, obviously with Denny involved, that it was in the band at the time and in the quintet, and seeing that, and you know, I was finishing school out in LA, and there was an opening, and I was like, yeah, I should probably start looking for a job. And I'll be honest, I didn't know exactly the full scope of what ceremonial band was when I won the job. I learned more about it once I was in the job, and I'm really glad that I still went forward with it, because it was got nothing but better and cooler, and I would have auditioned sooner had I realized, you know, what it really was that it encompassed as a job.
Oh, everyone, okay. Well, yeah, same thing. I was in college, decided I wanted to be a professional musician, didn't know much about it, and then in there learned that, hey, there's military have bands, and, you know, it's a regular job like, you know, like anything else. And, you know, it's just kind of whatever. Jack Tilbury came to Wichita State University when I was an undergrad. This was in the 90s, 93 or something, as a guest alumni performer. And, you know, he taught me about the Army band, and a couple years after that, went and auditioned. I'd probably auditioned twice for this band, the organization. And I was going to take, you know, I wanted to have a job as a musician. I was going to take whatever, was it an orchestra or whatever. So I got the Army band, and then I was going to let's just go do a couple years and make it to the New York Philharmonic. You know, that was the plan. You know, and so here I am, still waiting for the guy to.
Waiting for that phone call.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about military bands when I was in my master's. It was just another one of the auditions on Last Row, you know, website, and I was just like, well, I guess I'll take that one too. And that's the one that I won, and I was like, I don't know if I really want this job. And I started talking to some friends who knew more about it. I was like, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. And been here 7-8 years. Not looking back.
I was in an orchestra in Germany playing principal horn, and I was homesick, didn't speak German, didn't know anything about military bands, and then I won the audition. And the thing that I've come to appreciate is that we get to serve our country, and through music, you know, and music was part of the Army before America existed in 1775, so it's really, you know, connected deeply with the Army and the traditions that Don talked about. And we really are part of history with a lot of the stuff that we get to do. Inaugurations, state funerals. I've done 4 presidential funerals since I've joined. For Ronald Reagan, Gerald Ford, George Bush. I guess 3, one's coming maybe sooner. So anyway, yeah, it's such an honor to play music and serve your country.
How are your audio editing skills? What you might have noticed we're all saying, and something I do like to point out is, in years past, not always, but there always was, even when I was in college, there was a slight stigma of military band. It's where you went if you couldn't win an orchestra job. And that is so far from the truth. Always, really, but especially now. The level of people that are coming in, it's unreal. And you know, we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty details, but benefits that you don't even think about as young students. Healthcare. On and off, not currently, but there was a time when I got in, they paid off all of my student loans. Like, that alone that's literally why I was, you know, looking into it, because who pays off all your student loans? The medical, the health, the stability, the
GI
you know, the GI bill for either yourself, you can pass it down to your children, you can pass it to your spouse. Like, there are so many little nitty-gritty details that come with this job that you just are nowhere else. Even if you're in the New York Philharmonic, it's, you know, yes, pay would be a little different, but you know, the benefits and the things that you can take care of yourself and your family for the rest of your life. After 20 years, you can retire and get a pension. I could technically retire at 44 years old and get a paycheck for the rest of my life. You guys are going to be stuck with me a lot longer than that, but just, sorry.
Don't get our hopes up.
You'll be gone.
I'll be gone.
The little things like that you don't think about when you're 20 years old or in your undergrad or master's degree, but when you really look back and you know, down the road, as I'm getting older now, I'm like, whoa, I got really lucky. This job's pretty cool. And the level is unreal. Playing with these guys is Rick and I were talking in the car yesterday. That you can't come in with a bad day. There is no bad day. I mean, there is. You'll get made fun of like nonstop for it. They will destroy you. You think I'm joking? You know, when something happens, you never, ever, ever hear the end of it, as I'm about to find out. But yeah, and the level of all these, I call them kids now because the people that are coming in look like they're in middle school to me, even though they're not. I'm just the one getting older. But the talent that is coming in on a regular, it's unreal. I mean, our youngest, least experienced tuba player is like spectacular. I mean, the trumpet players were getting everything. It's on par, if not even better than what I've seen even on the orchestral circuit. So anyone that has that in the back of their mind, or maybe has a professor who doesn't quite realize what it is still, and is that old mindset of like, oh, you don't want that. No, you do, and we'd love to have you. And it's really a high level of playing across the premier bands, not just us. We see it with FTC, with the field band, with the West Point. I mean, it's spectacular. Yeah.
Here's Nansen joining after a career in Germany, joining after the Masters, joining after undergraduate. Do people join after high school?
Yes, we hired a tuba player.
Yeah, this tuba player
who
we
was
just hired.
19 when he got into, and he's probably 20 now. It's just, it's if you win the day, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, how old you, I mean, according to, you have to be eligible to enlist in the Army. It doesn't matter your age or what you've done before. It's just, if you're that person that day, you get the job.
Yeah, we went out after a White House job, and I was going to buy everyone a drink, and he looked at me, and he was really sheepish, and he's like, I'm 20. I was like, no drink for you. Well, it was water. Okay. Yeah, while you're asking your question, the first person that was going to play around here, if you want to come up and get set up, and we'll get a stand. And while we're doing that, what was your question?
So you mentioned the West Point band. What are the differences between that and the other academy bands?
Oh. You know, I don't know how qualified I am to answer that question. I don't know if you guys know any better. I think the main difference is what they would be doing on a day-to-day basis. The pay, the level, the benefits, everything is Army-wide for premier bands across the board. What we do day-to-day is different. What FDC does day-to-day is different. What Field Band and West Point do day-to-day. And I can't properly speak to what they do day-to-day because I don't know. But the biggest difference would be the daily missions and how they operate and where they go. I know one thing is they support the football team. So on Army game days, they're in the stadium as the pep band for the Army games. We don't do that. So those are the biggest differences. You know, when there's an inauguration, I was in the Herald Trumpets for 8 years. And you know, we're the ones that stand right behind the president with the banners. Like we're on the presidential platform. It's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to see in my life. But they don't do that. So the individual jobs differ in the day-to-day and our missions that we do. But the benefits, the Army part of it is the same. Is that kind of what you were asking?
Sort of.
No. Okay.
The other military academies, like the Air Force Academy and the Naval Academy.
Oh, if you think I don't know a lot about West Point, I know even less about the other naval academies. Are there any Academy bandsmen in here currently?
Would you like me to help address that a little bit?
Go for it, Denny.
I've never been in an academy band.
I didn't know you were in a band, but cool.
Typically, the academy bands, especially West Point, are there to support cadet services. I mean, every time a cadet sneezes, the band plays or something. You know, they do a lot of that. I'm joking. Edit that out. It's a fantastic band. Do not think it of any worse band. It's really fantastic. Their mission there is like all the academy bands is to support academy services, graduations, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, they're big time in the Army Navy football game. There'll be cheers and rah-rah sessions and stuff. And of course, you can't do that stuff without a band. The cool thing about the academy band is they're close to New York City. A lot of guys will go in and work in New York City, study a little bit, you know, so it's a really fantastic job. Of course, like Kevin said, they've got all the benefits that everybody in the Army has, which
thank you so much for offering to play. If you could just tell everyone your name, where you're from, what you're going to play, and then go whenever you're ready.
My name is Andrew. I'm from Virginia Tech, and I'm going to play Va Napolitana by Oscar Bennett.
And to stand in front of a room like this is one of the hardest things you're probably ever going to have to do. I'm not looking forward to it tonight myself. Trust me, ask them. I've been like, I don't know, maybe I want to play this piece. Maybe I want to. So huge kudos to you for offering and standing up in front of everybody. So I like to get a sense quickly. There's no right or wrong answer. I don't need some deep, crazy thing. What are your thoughts on that run through for you right now? Like, what was your takeaway from that? Best you ever played it. It was great. I wish I did this better. Anything like that. I'm just curious.
I found a little dry,
Mhm.
the triple time, but
Altitude.
it was not my best, but about what I expected.
Okay. I thought, no, there's a lot of great stuff in there. Absolutely. Again, no right or wrong. I when I finish playing something, I always like to ask, myself, where was that on my scale level for me? Was that one of the better times I played it, not, and why? And try to really think each time I play so that every time can get a little better. So I just want to, and I know we were a little dry in the beginning, I just want to start the beginning of this. And I want you to focus on two things. Supporting the air, kind of the phrase the whole way across, less individual notes and articulations, and more thinking, longer phrase-wise, and adding the articulation within there, but the energy, the momentum, the full scope of the phrase is longer. That'll help us kind of support the air and have more of those connections with the notes. The other thing I want you to think about is your attacks, your articulations. While we want them pointed and clear, we don't want them too short that they get clipped. It's kind of that balance. If it's too short, then we get the little for each note. We don't want it too long. But what I find is a little more precise, I say crisp of an articulation on top of thinking over the phrase is what gives those notes that nice body. And when you still get the articulation, not too short, kind of fits it within the phrase. Just kind of helps balance everything out. Can we just do something like there to there or whatever's comfortable for you? I'm not going to get too picky, but when you take your first breath, right, I want you to take your breath. Don't overthink it too much, okay? I want a nice, slow, a deeper, nice breath, relaxed breath. And try and start the breath and the articulation right away. There's always, yes, a tiny bit of pause. I'm not going to get into super science here. But what we don't want is you took a breath both times, and every time you took it, it's a, and then you played. And when we do that and we stop, there's tension. Like we are starting with tension, and that we're trying to play with as little tension as possible. So let's start from the beginning, setting ourselves up as best as possible and eliminating at least that initial tension, right? Stuff's always going to happen. It's a trumpet, and there's crazy things that happen. Now we're pushing a piece of metal against our face for a living. So we have to make this as easy for us as possible. So just start one more time, take a nice deep breath, and don't overthink it, because then I don't want you to get in your head too much. But try to not have that pause and then play. Try the right after the breath in. So first of all, thank you for making me sound like I know what I'm talking about, because that was so different and so much. Like, you don't have to make me happy, but did you hear a difference? Okay, your tone from the first note was not even the same. It was a beautiful sound right from the beginning. So awesome. So just do that every time you play now. Once we get into these repeated notes, right? That's where it backed away just a little bit. It wasn't as crisp and clean and pretty. So that's where we want the energy. I say energy, the momentum of the air driving forward, right? We don't want don't let it be stagnant, and we want a nice crisp articulation where it's not getting too short. So that kind of energy is falling forward with the motion, and that keeps the articulation of that triplet, repeated feel even, but it gives it some musicality, right? If we just play a bunch of technical, you have the technique, I can tell, your fingers all over the place, no issue. So just want to add that other side to it real quick. One more time at the beginning, we're going to just put this all together. Same thing, nice breath, play right away. So that's awesome, so much better. I want you to start right on that C. I love what you're doing. I want you to really think. I think there's just a slight, tiny bit of tongue and finger not moving 110% together. It's close, but even the slightest not 100% on like precision. We hear a tiny bit of it. And I just want you to really focus this time through on fingers, tongue moving exactly together. So they're right together. Because when they're not, we just get the tiniest bit of like in the sound. And it's not horrific, but if we just think about it, and we can fix that and fix it right away. So right from that C. Same breath. Awesome, so much better. So you have the technique, you have the things. That breath, I mean, it opens up the sound. Think about that a lot, to not pause and start with that tension and making sure the fingers line up and everything. And this is going to be spectacular. I don't want to take up too much time. Andrew?
Yeah, I think just like you're using your air on the fast stuff a lot more like you were on the middle section. And I think that's just whatever you're doing in the middle section, because that was really, really pretty when you did it the first time. Just the air, the flow, the ease of sound production, carry that over to the fast stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I've got one tiny thing as a non-trumpet player, but during the beginning when you started, despite a lot of the notes just falling off, you kept it going, and I really appreciated that because we're listening, we're hearing the music. There were just a couple spots where you took a breath, and the time just a little bit. And when we're hearing the melody, and when we hear that, it makes us lurch a little bit. Very minor, but if you probably heard yourself, you'd listen to like, oh yeah.
One of your friends recorded over here, so you can listen back later. Thank you so much for taking the opportunity to come up. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Hello. Oh, nice. Is this rare? Yeah, awesome. Yeah. All right, just tell me your name and what you're going to play. Maybe where you're from also.
Yeah. My name is Henry Lesser. I'm an undergraduate from the University of North Texas. And I'm going to be playing Brandon Reidenauer's arrangement of Rhapsody in Blue.
you know, everyone knows this piece. It's very popular. You're playing it great. I think it just needs more show. When you've got this stuff, especially at the beginning, like just really, really ham it up. It doesn't have to be like, you know, you're counting all the, however many half notes, whole notes, whatever that they've written out for this piece. Just go wild with it. It doesn't need to be the way everybody thinks it needs to go, but I want it to be this real big showpiece. That's, you know, you're not playing this because it's a competition piece. You're not playing this because someone wants you to do it. It's because you're entertaining the audience. So have that mindset when you're going about it. Just do that opening one more time. That's a lot of notes. Yeah, do that whole opening sequence again, and take your time and just kind of lean into it a little bit more. Yeah, that sounded great. Do you feel like that was a big difference from what you normally do, or is it just kind of like the second time now that you had a chance to warm up a little?
The second time.
A little bit the second time?
Yeah. I can tell that I'm trying to do more. I'm still having a bit of a hard time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally get it. I mean, it's going to be us tonight when we play. That never goes away. Yeah, so what do you, I mean, I don't really know if there's a specific thing that Gershwin wrote this about, but do you have something in mind that you're trying to tell the audience when you play this?
Probably the most natural thing I can do in showing off.
Yeah, showing off. Okay, cool. No, that's great. That's perfect. Because it's often really easy for us to, you know, we get a piece of music, we get a solo, whatever, and you're looking at it and you're working on all the sections and the pieces or the parts of it, and you just get so into the music and the notes on the page that you forget about what you're doing for the audience. And what I really try to do for everything that I play is have something that I'm trying to portray to the audience, whether it's a story, an emotion, some sort of concept. It can be as simple as, this piece is exciting. It can be as specific as telling, you know, line for line of your music, this is what's happening here, you know, this person does this thing. You can be as creative or specific or abstract as you want. And even just the showing off, I think, is a really good mentality to have when you're playing this, because it's not just about playing correct notes. You know, you're not playing the opening fanfare to Mahler 5. It's like, this is how this is supposed to go. Like, no, just show off, do whatever, make it exciting. I think that was a really, the second time was a lot better. Can you do the second part of it when you switch to the other thing? I gotta be honest, I don't know if that's B flat, C, I have no idea. That. The slow section that you went to after that. Let's try one more time. It's a long phrase, right? Do you feel like you're running out of air for it? A little bit.
I am now that I'm in Colorado.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. We've been experiencing that too. So do your best to get a nice, good, relaxed breath before it. you always want to plan out your phrases and your dynamics based on how far you can get through a phrase. So if you need to start a little bit softer, maybe go a little faster, but do your best to, ba-da-dee, ba-da-da-da-da, maybe sneak a little breath in there, but keep the phrase going despite the breaths that you put in there. I've always felt like I've had a pretty small lung capacity, and that's something I've fought my whole life. And so instead of just the longer phrases, I try to find ways to make my breathing more musical, part of the phrase and not just the end of the phrase. You could even, sneak one in somewhere. Ba-da-dee-do, ba-da-da-da, because that crescendo on those long notes is going to be really important. Those are long-held notes that can be really boring really fast. They're just meh, meh, like no one wants to hear that. And so doing anything that you can to make it more interesting is always good. I'm always reminded of John he always does this in playing. He doesn't say it often, but every note that you play has to move somewhere, and it can be dynamics, it can be tempo, but you can't just set on a note and just be like, "Yep, I'm doing this note." If you're in an ensemble, maybe you kind of hit it and go away, or if it's this end of the phrase, you push through it. Every note needs to have momentum on it. Yeah, cool. That's all I got. Anyone? Andrew?
Thank you. I'm going to move on to one more.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right. Marcus. All right. What are you playing? Oh, I like it. All right. Now we're talking. What are you playing and where are you from?
I'm Marcus. I'm from UMass Amherst, and I'll be playing the Honor Guard. Braver man than I am.
Andrew, if we get tired tonight, I think he's got some endurance we can borrow.
Sure.
Sounds really great. What are your thoughts quickly?
Honestly, memory blanks weren't in the plan,
Alright.
but
Not a big deal.
yeah, I think my use of air was different than I thought it would be. Because, I mean, I'm still shaking a little bit, weirdly enough. But, I don't know, I could have planned my breaths better
Okay.
to help me out with some of the endurance stuff and hitting notes right where they need to be.
Yeah, center of the notes.
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, so many spectacular things in there. You obviously have a lot of talent. There's a lot of endurance and strength that you have. My biggest challenge to you on a piece like this is to know that you have that. Don't rely on that so much. I could use really a good bit more on the musical side. I'm not saying you are not musical. Everyone twists everything. No, I didn't say that. I could use more musicality in the thing. There was a couple times where it was spectacular, but it was bum, bum, bum. It just felt a little trumpety. And if we can, I want you to do that, but really think of the music and the energy and the phrase. Like, I want to hear a little bit of that energy falling forward, the crescendos. I want to be like, oh yeah, like have that musicality move forward. You don't have to worry about this, right? You just showed us that that's there, right? Accept that, you got it, you don't have to think about it, okay? It's gonna be there. So we gotta trust ourselves that that's gonna be there so that we can then open up and do more on the musical end. So you're gonna love me because I'm gonna have you play the opening again. Because who doesn't want to play the opening of the Hanukkah again in front of a room full of trumpet players? I want you to do it pretty much the similar way you did, but on these modes, the bum, 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 bum. Maybe a little tempo, maybe a little energy, maybe just have it do a little something and make it more interesting. Tell, like Greg said, which is wonderful, which I always say as well. Have a story in mind. Every note, everything is either going from somewhere or coming from something is what I try to. I'm either building towards the peak of a phrase or I've hit the peak of the phrase and then I'm kind of backing away until it rinses and repeats again. Never flatlining, and you weren't flatlining, but like there were some times where I really wanted you to go and it stayed the same and you hit all the notes and it sounds great. But I think if you add that level of musicality to it, even higher than what you're already doing, this is going to be like, there's going to be nothing else to do with it. Can you play the opening for me one more time, please? Okay, and that ended perfectly because that was my next comment. Be careful with your low notes. I'm just getting super nitpicky because I can, because it sounds really good, and now I'm just gonna nitpick. Your low notes, make sure that they're centering right away like the rest of your notes. Once you get below C, they do the little poofy thing on occasion, the rah, 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 which is really normal, and you'll probably hear me do it tonight too, I'm sure. But just think about that a little bit more so they lock in right away like the rest of your notes. And a couple times when we had the lower notes, it didn't center immediately. And it's super nitpicky, but it's something to just go, just to always trying to work on to make something better is your low notes if they lock in right away, right? Not letting this sink too much, I almost think an octave higher of my set when I'm playing that low so that it doesn't get saggy. So I'm kind of playing that upper space G, I'm not going to go into too blah, 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 trumpet dorky talk. This is actually the one place I can get away with it. But The last thing is I want you to start the bum, 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 the faster section. And when we get into the multiple tonguing, it was really, really good. I want the tempo to stay consistent. A couple times, really think of keeping that as even and consistent. And that's really just that steady airflow and making sure, again, the fingers and everything just lining up exactly. If you could just do that part of that section real quick and really think of keeping everything super steady in time.
Okay, you want to start the fast section or right before the triple tonguing?
Let's do right before the triple tonguing for the sake of not making you play over and over and over again. What I also want you to, just one level on top of that, and maybe not right now, but start thinking about it, is just my interpretation. Grain of salt, take it with what you will. But I hear this a little bit as like little ebbs and flows in the dynamics. Just kind of makes it, to me, that much more interesting, and it draws the listener in as opposed to machine gun articulation. And sometimes there is that, and maybe that's what you are trying to do there, which is fine. But if you could just try it once for me, a little bit of this push and pull dynamic-wise. So to me, that's how I play it, which doesn't mean anything. But I just like that. Just this little push and pull, which to me makes it that much more interesting.
Okay.
Same spot one more time. And then do you? Really nice stuff. Really nice playing. I'm going to have Andrew say a few things, but great playing.
Sounds fantastic. And kudos to you for not using music. That's awesome. Yeah, I just personally, I like to think of everything really long notes, long phrases. I think you get a little choppy, especially when you have all these leaps. And that's also kind of when it starts to get a little metronomic. And it was really much better in the beginning, a little more motion, a little more rubato, whatever. I would try to do that like throughout the entire opening section, and then the end section just to make it more interesting, more musical, more fun to play, fun to listen to. You don't have to do any of that again, because I wouldn't want to. But I mean, it sounds really good.
Thank you very
much. Really nice job. Yeah, pleasure to listen to you. So that's all I have.
All right, we have a few. Okay, we can stand. Fine. Okay, cool. We have. Rebecca's going to kill me for leaning on the piano. I'm too scared. Okay. Thank you to all three of you that played. Absolutely spectacular playing. It is not easy to play in front of people, especially trumpet players, especially some of the best trumpet players across the country that are sitting in one room together. So bravo. Again, thank you all for playing and doing that. We have a few minutes left. I want to take this time for any final questions or anything that you can think about. I don't want to just, again, if you don't have questions, that's fine. We can move on to lunch and whatnot. But does anybody have any questions about anything, either Army Band related again, or music, or our approach, or yeah?
So when you went through basic training and you were away, like were you away from your instrument for like 10 weeks?
Yeah.
So how did you navigate coming back into like your daily practice routine?
You just navigate, there's your horn, I remember you. That's how you navigate it.
You do it.
It's shockingly not as hard as you think. Don't regularly take 10 weeks off.
Yeah, it's, for me, I think short, frequent practice sessions was what got me back in shape.
Yeah, same.
Don't go through basic training going.
Don't bring your
Don't
mouthpiece.
do that.
Don't.
Just forget about it.
If you go to basic training, don't bring anything you're not prepared to throw away.
You just accept that it's 10 weeks off. Everyone before you has done it. You're going to be no different.
Yeah.
It's weird at first. I remember very vividly. I got home from basic training that night. I had a roommate, so they got an apartment ahead of time, and so I had a place to go right back to. I got my mouthpiece and my trumpet, and I played a few notes, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's still there. Like, it was. Now, endurance was over after my 8 notes that I played. I was shot, but short, 5-10 minutes max, no louder than mezzo piano playing for a few days, and then you just slowly build on top of that. And the band is spectacular about, they know that you haven't had your horn for 10 weeks. So there's time while you're transitioning, while you're getting your uniforms, while you're in processing, while you're getting all your paperwork done. They send you home what's called TDY to go move all your stuff across. You have at least 2 to 4 weeks before we are putting you on your first job. So if you're a couple minutes a day, span probably 20, 30 minutes a day, and then building over time, in a month's time, you're going to be in good enough shape to start doing jobs. You're not going to probably be ready to give a full recital, but it's way better than you envision it is. But yeah, it's really hard because don't take a day off which, whatever, that's a conversation we can get into some other time. But yeah, 10 weeks is weird because we never take 10 weeks off, or shouldn't normally take 10 weeks off. COVID was a little different. I think a lot of us took more than 10 weeks off. But yeah, good question, valid question, but it does come back and way faster than you think. Yeah?
What's something that you would tell your undergraduate or graduate self, either something that you wish you did or something that you would tell yourself to go back?
I'll answer first and then let other people answer, but I would say for me it was things like this. Come to these things. Come to these classes. Come talk to us. Ask us questions. The connections that I built, I am the pinnacle trumpet dork. I've been to almost every NTC and ITG for the last 25 years. I love it. I know, I have a problem. But the people that you get to meet and play for and know and talk to, just those experiences and learning from these people constantly. By doing that over 25 years, I've played for, met, or talked with any trumpet player or brass player you can imaginably name. And to have that experience and that knowledge to pull from is invaluable. And these things are set up so well and so easy to attend and get to. Play for people, play as much as you can, and yeah, just go for it.
It doesn't get easier to find time to practice as you get older. You may think that once you graduate, you don't have all the classes that you have to go to. You have all this time in the world, but as you, especially if, in our position, if you have a job, we not only have our rehearsals that we do, our missions that we do, but we also have extra duties, collateral duties that most of us have. And so we do our rehearsal and I go home and I send 2 to 3 hours worth of emails and other kinds of stuff. And then I have to make dinner and take my dog out and all those other kinds of things. So it's, when you're in school and you're doing music, and that's the only thing that you're doing, just soak all of it up that you can. Take every opportunity you can to practice, every opportunity that you can to learn, because it doesn't get easier. It gets way harder as you get older to stay motivated to do your practicing after, a rehearsal and a day of emails and all these other things that are beating you down. So, don't go crazy, don't hurt yourself or get burnt out when you're in school, but take every opportunity you can.
Yeah, along those lines, I'd say just do as much listening as you possibly can, because you're never going to play better than your ear. Your ear is at this level, and then you get up to that level, and then you're there until your ear gets better, and then you can get better from there. So just walking in between classes, making dinner, whatever, just listen to as much of everything that you can. And especially nowadays, it's really easy to find really great recordings. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Spotify. Just, you know, make sure that what you're listening to is high quality, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet that is not.
Johnny, anything?
Oh, so well, I would tell myself when I was an undergrad student, right? I guess just to practice smarter, you know. I just, you know, just have like the time that I had time because I didn't have, you know, kids and house and stuff. But I practiced a lot, you know, But I guess I would tell myself to, you know, be more focused and try to have a goal. And, you know, I guess I took my very first audition, and it was for might have been for the field band, you know, and I played played the Vaughan Williams or something, and then they come back and say, yeah, then you played some wrong notes. I'm like, how would I play wrong notes on the Vaughan? Why would I let myself do that? I don't know. Maybe I just didn't know at the time. So that's, I guess, would be my answer. Practice smarter, more efficiently, and know what I'm sounding like as I first start out deciding I'm going to be a musician.
Don't be afraid to reach out to people. That's one thing I found. Like, you know, play for people, reach out to them, send them an email, okay, can I send you a recording? I mean, it's too easy nowadays with Zoom. I mean, here's my old guy thing. I mean, we're not that old, but when I was in college, there wasn't a Zoom where I could Zoom in Vince DiMartino and you know, have a lesson. And a couple weeks ago, I had some questions, and I had a 3-hour Zoom with Vince DiMartino. Like, we were across the country, and it's just too easy. So don't be afraid. And most of those people are more than willing to help you if you reach out nicely and politely. Let me rephrase that. If you reach out nicely and politely and kindly and respectfully, almost anyone's going to be willing to help you out. So, I mean, just the availability of that today is unreal. I mean, you can email anybody. I mean, they may not all be free immediately for you, but I guarantee you 90% of them are going to find time to sit with you, answer your questions, listen to your tape that you send, and give some sort of helpful feedback. And that's just invaluable. I mean, anyone you want to send something to will almost guaranteed help you out. With that, any questions, anything you ever have for us or want to send us? You know, I know we're mostly trumpet players here. You know, I speaking for Andrew, well, probably
2/5.
Probably the audience. You know, you know, if you have any questions for us or military, you're preparing for an audition, you want to send us a tape to listen to it and ask for comments, like send it to me. I think Andrew doesn't mind as well. I'm speaking for you, but yeah, I mean, you know, reach out, find us online, find us on Facebook, Instagram, shoot me a message. I'll listen to anything, anytime, answer any questions you have. Like, you're never bugging, you're never bothering. You know, we're busy. I have 2 kids. I might not get back within like the hour, but I will find time, and I absolutely will do it. So just don't be afraid to do those types of things. I really think they're invaluable. Any final questions before we, if not, that's fine. I want to thank you all for being here, for sitting and listening. Again, we'll be here, we're playing at 5:30 tonight. We'd love to see you there. Any questions, you see us walking around again, feel free to grab us. Feel free to stop by, talk to, play for FDC back there. I believe Sergeant Daly has an Army Band's booth at the exhibit hall. You know, all of those questions, go talk to her and reach out. You know, we can all answer all of those, and would love to help you any way we possibly can. And have fun. This is a really cool thing. I have amazing memories from decades from this event. So just have a good time, and thank you so much for being here.